Your true wealth is your time and freedom. Money is just a tool for trading your time. It's a container to store your economic energy until you're ready to deploy it. However, the world has been turned away from real money and fooled into using currency, a deceitful imposter that silently steals your two most valuable assets, your time and your freedom. Welcome to the rabbit hole. We are entering a period of financial crisis, the greatest the world has ever known. The wealth transfer that will take place during this decade is the greatest in history. Wealth is never destroyed, it is merely transferred. This means that on the opposite side of every crisis, there is an opportunity. The great news is that all you have to do to turn this crisis into your great opportunity is to educate yourself. I believe that the best investment you can make in your lifetime is in your own education. This includes education on the history of money, finance, how the global economy works, and how central bankers and the stock market can cheat and scam you. By learning what is going on and how the financial world works, you can position yourself on the correct side of this wealth transfer. Winston Churchill once said that the further you look into the past, the further you can see into the future. This program is all about creating your own crystal ball, enabling you to gaze into the future and turn this crisis, the greatest in the history of mankind, into your great opportunity. The hidden secrets of money are often in plain sight. The way the monetary system works isn't hidden from us. It's out in the open but complex, making it difficult for people to see how it truly operates. It's hard for people to imagine that we're living in such a hoax. Some truths are meant to be secret, but they are slowly coming out, like the fact that the Federal Reserve is a private corporation and not really part of the US government. When I started studying this, I found there was no single place where people could get all the information in one spot. So I decided to write my book to consolidate monetary history, economics, the markets, and the fundamentals of gold and silver. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in economics, and I've made it my job to lift the fog for people. Welcome to Egypt, where it all began roughly 5,000 years ago. The Egyptians started using gold and silver as their predominant form of currency, but it was not yet money. The pieces of gold and silver they used were of odd sizes, weights, and purities, so they were not interchangeable. This meant that nothing really had a price yet. You couldn't put a price of so many coins on something because they didn't have coins. Trade was still difficult, and a guessing game when it came to the exchange of values. One of the reasons we are in the financial mess we are today globally is that people do not understand the difference between currency and money. Currency is a medium of exchange, a unit of account. It is portable, durable, divisible, and fungible. Fungible means that each unit is the same as the next unit. $1 in my pocket buys the same amount as $1 in your pocket. Money is all of those things, plus a store of value over a long period of time. Even financial planners, bankers, and accountants often don't understand the difference between currency and money. The currency in your pocket is a medium of exchange, but it is not a store of value over time. Currency is a medium of exchange and a unit of account because it has numbers on it. It's somewhat durable, portable, divisible, you can make change, and fungible. $1 in my pocket buys the same amount as $1 in your pocket. However, because governments can print more and more of it, diluting the currency supply, it continually transfers wealth out of your pocket and bank account to the government and banking system. Gold and silver are the optimum forms of money because of their properties. They are easy mediums of exchange, storing a large amount of value in a small area. Pure gold has the same value all over the planet, so an ounce of gold buys the same amount in Egypt as it would in China or the United States. Gold is durable. The same gold used by Egyptians 5,000 years ago is still with us today and does not corrode. It's divisible, allowing you to make change, and very portable. Unlike oil, which you can't carry around in a barrel on your back, gold is easy to transport. Pure gold and silver are fungible, meaning they are the same wherever they are on Earth. They are also limited in quantity, which is why they maintain their purchasing power. Governments cannot print them. Over the last 5,000 years, only gold and silver have maintained their purchasing power. There have been thousands of fiat currencies, currencies not backed by gold or silver, and they have all gone to zero, a 100% failure rate. Fiat currency exists at the dictate or fiat of a government. Governments have their printing presses and paper money rolls off these presses, given the fiat designation to make the currency official. However, it's just worthless paper. When Ben Bernanke gives it the special sign and they have their meetings at the Federal Open Market Committee, it suddenly becomes currency. If you look at what's really going on, it's a con game. The Federal Reserve is very forthright about what they're doing. If you read their websites, they'll tell you it's a confidence game. They admit there's no intrinsic value in their money and that they print it backed by absolutely nothing. They display all these facts. But if you tell someone in the public that this stuff is created out of thin air with no backing whatsoever, they'll look at you like you're nuts. Is there an example throughout history of a fiat currency? A piece of paper that's unbacked by anything surviving? Short answer, no. Long answer, no. When Addison Wiggin took over at the Daily Reckoning, Bill Bonner asked him to catalogue all the fiat currencies throughout history and what happened to each of them. Addison dutifully went to work. Within a short period, he had gone through the alphabet. All the fiat currencies that started with the letter A were done. They all went to zero. He was halfway through the letter B, and there were 600 of them in just the first letter and a half of the alphabet. Every single one of them went to zero. 600 fiat currencies that start with the letter A, and half of the ones that start with the letter B. 600 of these things, not one ever came close to surviving. Do you think the United States dollar is going to be the first one after all that? I don't think so. No fiat currency has ever survived. The thing about money is that there is a fairly well accepted definition of what it is. The question is, as you apply that definition to particular things people claim to be money, do they fit the definition? Let's take the paper dollar, for example. How well does it perform those functions? As a store of value, the dollar has lost 95% of its purchasing power since the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913, so it's not very good in that regard. One of the things I do to get the audience's attention is show a slide with 3 pictures: a pile of monopoly money, a pile of Federal Reserve notes, what Americans call paper money, and a solid gold American Eagle 1-ounce coin. The title of the slide is, "Which of these is not like the other?" If you know the show Sesame Street or have children who watch it, it's one of the favorite vignettes. It's essentially an IQ test for 5-year-olds where they look at the 3 things and find the one that's not like the others. I've shown this slide to groups of Ivy League university professors and to children around 5 years old, like my nieces and nephews. When the professors look at it, they say, clearly, the dollars are not like the others because gold has no role as money, monopoly money is junk, and the American dollar is a store of value. But the children look at it and say, the gold coin is not like the others because the other 2 are just piles of paper, and the gold coin is clearly something different. So my question to the audience is, who's smarter, a 5-year-old or an Ivy League professor? And before World War I, each note that the Treasury issued would say that it was backed by gold or silver. This backing gave the currency its value and stability. However, today, fiat currencies like the US dollar are not backed by anything tangible. They rely on the confidence and trust of the people who use them. Before World War I, each note issued by the Treasury stated that it was backed by $20 in gold coin payable to the bearer on demand. The money was in the vault and the currency was a note, a claim check on the money. It's similar to when you go to the dry cleaners, give them your shirt and receive a claim check. The value lies in the shirt at the dry cleaners, not the piece of paper that says you own the shirt. Our circulating currency, the paper US dollars, were claim checks on money. The next hidden secret is the difference between currency and money. Money must be a store of value and maintain its purchasing power over long periods of time. As we progress through this series, you'll learn that national currencies are tools used by the government and financial sector to leech away your time and freedom by stealing your purchasing power. Rather than storing your economic energy, currencies leak. Now compare that to the gold and silver the Egyptians were using. It still wasn't money because it wasn't interchangeable yet, but they were on the right track. Gold and silver have proven over thousands of years to be the ultimate store of value. Gold is only formed when a star explodes, a supernova, and it stays around forever. This is one of the properties that make it the ultimate money. People are amazed that after 5,000 years, the pyramids are still here. But what amazes me more is that the currency the people who built the pyramids were using, the gold and silver they traded daily, is still around today. It may have been melted down, re-refined, and is now in a coin, a bar, or a piece of jewelry. But it's still with us today and still purchases something. Yes, it is the ultimate money. Gold stands out because there is nothing else even in the same league. It's divisible, permanent, a store of value and a unit of account. It has everything you want out of money, but it doesn't go away and can't be increased. This is what makes gold the most beautiful money of all. What more could you ask for? It keeps governments under control and helps maintain a solvent system. Governments don't like gold at present because they're getting away with fiat currencies, and will do everything they can to discredit it as an asset class. Despite gold outperforming the Dow Jones Industrial Average in each of the last 7 years, it's not considered a legitimate asset class. Why? Because there's a fear that gold will be imposed on the system, constraining the government's ability to spend beyond its means. They can't print gold. The proper definition of inflation, as per Milton Friedman, is an expansion of the currency supply, while deflation is a contraction of the currency supply. If you expand the currency supply, eventually prices will rise. If you contract the currency supply, eventually prices will fall. Imagine a pool, not of water, but of currency. These are prices. If you expand the currency supply, prices, like a sponge in water, have to rise to absorb the excess currency. Governments never stop printing more currency and adding it to circulation. Therefore, prices keep going up, not because the stuff you're trying to buy is changing. Real estate doesn't change. What has changed is that the currency purchases less and less. It's the currency going down, not prices going up. The truth is, what we have that makes our world work right now is a big story. If it's real, it's all just promises. That's how currency began to work. Before we had currency, we bartered. I'll give you 3 coconuts and you give me 4 fish. But that got complicated, so we invented money to be a divisible, portable medium of exchange. The challenge is that we lost that a long time ago when we stopped using things of value as our currency. Now we have numbers, but trust me, it's not real. It's a big made-up story. One of the biggest make-believe stories ever is called quantitative easing, QE. It sounds complex, but it's really just a smoke and mirrors term for currency creation. QE started with the banking bailouts back in 2009. This currency was created out of thin air and then given to the banks, who paid themselves record bonuses as a reward for crashing the world economy. This is a global phenomenon, but all you need to remember for now is that whether it's QE, bailouts, or stimulus programs, these are all just voodoo hocus-pocus terms for increased currency creation. I believe gold and silver will reassert themselves as money. When they do, there just isn't enough, and their purchasing power is going to go up many, many times. Egypt is an amazing place with a franticness and utter chaos, especially in the traffic. The merchants try to get every last dime out of you, and you might come back with an empty wallet, but you know what? They're amateurs compared to Wall Street. In the past several years, I've spoken in many countries about the coming crisis. A lot of people think they'll be okay in their country, that it's only going to happen to the United States or a few other places, but the reality is this is a global issue. Many people think that the financial crisis will only affect the United States or Europe, but they don't realize this is a global phenomenon. Let me show you something. This is the base currency in the United States, the number of paper dollars that exist. It took 200 years to go from no dollars in existence to $825 billion. Then came the bailouts, followed by QE1, Quantitative Easing 1, QE2, QE3, QE4, and soon we'll have QE57 and QE 382. But it's not just the United States. Look at the Canadian currency supply. Australia, South Africa, Russia. This starts in 2001, and there's 18 times more currency in existence in just over a decade. Singapore tells the same story. Since the crisis, their currency supply has skyrocketed. India, China, every government on the planet is engaging in insane deficit spending and expanding their currency supplies, doing bailouts. History shows that there is no example of this turning out well. It's sometimes amazing that we haven't experienced more inflation than we have. If they keep expanding the money supply so vastly, why aren't our prices growing faster? The answer is that a good chunk of the money the Fed created has been shipped overseas. Early in my research, I heard the expression that Americans have exported their inflation. I wondered, what does that mean? How can you export inflation? You put it in a box and send it? Now I understand. You export your inflation by sending all these dollars you created to other countries, and they send you their refrigerators, cars, and TV sets. So you get hardware and they get little pieces of paper. It's a great deal for the Americans. For a while, exporting inflation works well for the American people. But sooner or later, all those pigeons come home to roost. When the rest of the world decides they no longer want to play this game, Uncle Sam's dollars become worthless due to their sheer abundance. When other countries start rejecting American dollars, those dollars will flood back to the United States. Once this trickle of returning money becomes a flood, we'll see the quantity of money inside the United States grow much more rapidly than the Federal Reserve can create it. This will bring back the previously exported inflation, leading to a significant devaluation of the US dollar in terms of its purchasing power. During the second round of quantitative easing, global food prices went up by 60%, creating a humanitarian disaster for the 2 billion people on Earth who live on less than $2 a day. These people, already struggling with hunger, became even hungrier, leading some to overthrow their governments in North Africa and the Middle East. Quantitative easing was the spark that ignited the Arab Spring. When you create money, you get some sort of inflation. It just depends on where the inflation goes. Inflation disproportionately affects the poor, especially in the percentage of their income that goes to food. As food prices rise, those with lower incomes are hit the hardest, leading to increased hardship and instability. Recently, when the ratio of income spent on food reached 40% due to rising food prices from inflation, it historically marked a point where people staged revolutions. This is exactly what we saw during the French Revolution, which was largely driven by the price of food reaching a critical point. When people can no longer afford basic necessities, they are pushed to the brink and demand change. The risk-reward for revolution becomes favorable when inflation punishes the most productive members of society, those who produce more than they consume and save the difference. The problem is that these savers store their wealth in national currency. which is just fiat paper. When runaway inflation destroys the value of this currency, the savings they hope to retire on vanish, along with the goods and services they plan to buy. This scenario seems daunting, but there's a silver lining. Gold and silver always end up accounting for the expansion of currency supplies. When governments debase their currency, inflation follows, and people sense the loss of purchasing power. They rush back to gold and silver, bidding up their value until it meets or exceeds the value of all the currency in circulation. This process has repeated throughout history, but this time it's happening globally, making it the greatest wealth transfer in history and the greatest opportunity. Your true wealth is your time and freedom. Money is a tool that stores the economic energy of your time and freedom, while currencies leak them away. Gold and silver are the ultimate money because of their properties. Fiat currencies, based solely on confidence, always return to their intrinsic value of zero. Governments dislike gold because it imposes restraint. Rising prices are a symptom of an expanding currency supply, and gold and silver always account for this expansion. So, that's it for this episode. Join me next time as we investigate how monetary history repeats itself and how gold and silver always win the battle between currency and money. Until then, my challenge to you is to stop calling currency money. It's a crucial first step towards freeing your mind from economic voodoo and changing your context. You can learn more by watching the bonus features on our website. If you have any questions, post them there and we'll answer some in future bonus features. Good luck, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.